Shelter cluster is all agencies involved in non-food item distribution and in shelter provision, in emergency shelter and in transitional shelter. The shelter cluster is not only these implementers, it as well as the government of Haiti is involved, it's as well the donors are involved.
People rely on shelter cluster for their capacity to gather information, to analyze information, and to coordinate things.
We're really dealing with a long-term problem in Haiti. On January 11th, there was a shelter crisis. There were hundreds of thousands of people living in substandard shelter that wouldn't respond to even the minimum humanitarian conditions. We've had to face not only the needs and the pain and the suffering of people that have lost their house in the earthquake, but really a whole level of society which never had a safe house to begin with. Land tenure has been a problem facing Haiti since independence. The lack of formality, the lack of clear legal structures, the lack of documentation on land is a problem that's been evolving and that Haitians have had to deal with for generations.
When you're talking about the emergency or humanitarian phase, you need to understand that even in camps, there are landowners to those sites which are being occupied.
In the beginning we had about 80 agencies involved, so it was quite difficult to coordinate them and to have general meetings.
Nous allons avoir beaucoup de problèmes parce que les autorités locales ne pourront pas prendre en charge toutes les gens qui se trouvent dans les rues.
Coordination among organizations is actually essential, even more in Haiti, even more in Ogan, because there's so many agencies that have good intention and want to work together. But to be sure that every agency with their capacity and the amount of financial support they have, make sure they can reach the most vulnerable beneficiary and we actually all together be able to cover the whole area.
We had a shelter cluster organization team which runs this shelter cluster. We had up to 18 people in that team, and with multiple nationalities and as well seconded by multiple organizations. For the IFRC, this team is the biggest team they ever deployed. We do have many specialists. We had environmental advisors, we have technical experts for designs, we have media experts on the team to communicate messages, we have a debris manager, we have a very solid information management and mapping team to provide the full picture of the whole operation all over Haiti in the earthquake areas. We select representative members of the shelter cluster to come together and decide on a strategy. That's the strategic advisory group. For more technical solutions, there's a technical working group, a TWIC. They sit together, decide on designs, on standards, on technical solutions, on beneficiary communication. Many subgroups come together. It's as well a group of representatives of the shelter cluster to really work out a plan. All the shelter actors then follow.
My mandate here is to try to harmonize and coordinate all the work that's going on within the cluster system on housing, land and property issues.
Our role as information managers in the field is usually, it's basically we collect data, we analyze it and we disseminate it.
As the hub coordinator for the cluster, my job is to ensure that at a neighborhood level, at a street level, our agencies are acting in a coordinated manner.
A lot of this information is used by the specific implementers or the agencies who are part of the shelter cluster, maximizing the coverage and efficiency of what you are implementing on the ground. I mean, information by itself is a great source for knowledge, but unless it is given to the right people and formatted in the right way, it becomes a burden and not a benefit to anyone.
Talk about housing, land and property. You know, you have to deal with the Haitian context. You have to understand the complexity of the context and try to come up with standards which make it easy for agencies to engage with that.
In total, we have 8 hubs in Port-au-Prince. They cover the entire earthquake-affected zone. Hubs cover different size areas based on the level of damage. Carrefour was an area very hit by the earthquake. Lots of damage. It was generally socioeconomically a disadvantaged area to begin with. And as a result, there was a lot of work for our agencies. What we did very early on is we set up a meeting in the temporary mayor's office in Carrefour, directly with representatives of the mayor's office. And we decided to divide the area up into neat zones. As a result, we were able to develop a clear understanding of who was working where, with clearly defined borders and zones for everyone's programs.
Il y a une grande amélioration pour la commune de Carrefour. Si les organisations internationales n'étaient pas là, et la commune de Carrefour aurait confronté pas mal de problèmes.
Today, the meetings are really very quick, very easy, because everyone knows who's working where and everyone knows what their job is.
In September, there was a storm. Nobody expected this type of storm would arrive like half an hour and affect 10,000 families. So, for me, it's a real check of what is the capacity of coordination of shelter cluster, because I think the storm was on Friday, and on Saturday there was the first distribution and assessment, and in 1 week all was done. You could not do that if you have not a strong node of coordination.
Agencies have had a place to go for if they wanted top-level information. They can always depend on it to be accurate, and they can always use it in the field right away. They know that if they report it to us, it will be recorded, analyzed, and it will be given back to them in a timely manner.
To produce really the overview and identify gaps and to advocate in all directions towards the donors, towards the government, towards the agencies. This would not happen if there's no cluster approach.
Yeah, I think if the shelter cluster was not existing in Haiti, from the beginning, I think it would have been impossible to actually be able to cover the area, to actually make sure that we cover all the most vulnerable beneficiaries.
If you look at the map of all the affected area, we have agencies working in each zone, complementing each other, not fighting over area, not fighting over whose beneficiary is whose, but evenly spread out and addressing the needs in those areas.
Non, je sorti là, je viens bout, je viens sortir, je viens là, je viens dans sud. Ça t'a fait, tu passé dans zone là, il t'a fait ça pour moi, je fais ça pour moi. Quand ça a plus bon, que notre tête passé toute les prélalté, cacher le problème qui arrive. Ça la manger. Ça est versé universel. Je suis tellement content, je remercie nous en plus parce que me déjeuner.